Right, Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to the Thursday Learning Bhagavatam class. I hope you're all well. So today we're going to be discussing Canto 9 Liberation, Chapter 7, the Descendants of King Māndhātā. So today's guest speaker is none other than Smital Mataji. I'll give you a quick background of Smital Mataji. Smital Mataji came into Krishna consciousness through association. It was almost 11 years ago when Mataji was on a 7-month business trip on her own that a work colleague on her journey towards Krishna, that a work colleague helped her on a journey towards Krishna consciousness. Smital Mataji serves the temple through facilitating Mana Sanghas at home as well as online and coordinating with the Krishna Club for children in her local area. Mataji loves to listen to bhajans and study the meaning as well as listening to Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhuji, and Vraj Virari Prabhuji. Mataji has given several classes at the manor, and her profession life, she is a business consultant for Telecoms Group, where she has worked for almost 20 or past 20 years. So welcome to Learning Bhagavatam, Mataji. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Do we do Jai Radha Madhav as well?
We can do both, whatever you prefer, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhu. I'll just share my screen meanwhile. Is it visible to everyone?
Perfect, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay. We'll do Jai Radha Madhav and then we'll do a small Mangala Charan before starting. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Tava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. We'll do a Mangalacharan before we make a start. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much everyone for joining. Is my voice okay, Prabhu? Okay. I'll just check if it is 100%. Okay. So today we'll be looking at overview of 7th chapter of Canto 9, the Descendants of King Māndhātā. So we'll quickly go through an overview of the canto, maybe 5 minutes, and then we will enter into the chapter. It's nice to always locate ourselves where we are because there's so many details. It's always very easy to get lost in beautiful forest of Bhagavatam like that. So this is a beautiful verse. It always helps me to like summarize the entire Bhagavatam. So what is it all about? So this verse goes as Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utaya Manvantare Shanukatha Nirodho Muktirashraya. So Sukadev Goswami says, in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam there are 10 divisions of statements regarding the following. So these are the 10 subject matters which have been discussed in Bhagavatam across various cantos. So the first is creation of universe, sub-creation, planetary systems, protection by the Lord, creative impetus, the change of Manus, the science of the God, returning home, back to Godhead, liberation, and the Samam Bonam. So these 10 topics are divided into various cantos. So our first 3 cantos describe primary creation. The primary creation is the creation which Lord creates himself. So normally first 2 and then half of 3 you could say. And then Visarga. Visarga is secondary creation where Lord Brahma creates. And then that goes on to from 3, some part of 4 and then 5. And then we have planetary systems. How is the the universe set up? How are the 14 planetary systems set up? So that is in 5 and 6. So there is an overlap if we see. And then is Poshanam, which is protection by the Lord. How Lord protects, which is Canto 7. And you would remember that's Prahlad Maharaj. Then Utaya, which is creative impetus, which is 5 and 6. And then Manvantare, so the change of Manus, how during the day of Brahma, the change of Manus happen, who comes, who goes. So that's explained in 3, 4, and then some in 8. And then Ishanu Katha in the same part, which is science of God, which is Canto 9, which we are discussing, liberation. And then Nirodho, which is return home, back to Godhead, which is 11 and 12. And then liberation and the Samam Bonam, which is 10, 11, 12. So so it's not like very strict line between these cantos. Small topics are there here and there, but mainly you could categorize it as these cantos. So it allows us to now go into Canto 9, which is Ishanukatha. So, Canto 9 altogether, you have gone through 6 chapters already, and you might have seen so many stories. So these are Isha Anukatha. So, Isha is Lord, Ishvara, and Anu means followers. So, his followers. Isha and his followers. Katha is stories. So stories of Lord and his followers. That's there in the entire Canto 9. So various devotees and how he relates to every devotee. So it is also called as Ishanu Charita, which means the stories of Bhagavan and his devotees. This particular canto is divided. So there are 24 chapters and is divided into 12 and 12. So the first part, so 13 and 12, and 13 and 11. So the first part is solar dynasty, where the Surya Vamsha, so those who come from the sun dynasty, they are described, which is us discussing now, which is 7th chapter. And then there is lunar dynasty. So as per our scriptures and our acharyas, the solar dynasty, the devotees in solar dynasty, they follow Vaidhi Bhakti. So regulated devotion. And in lunar dynasty, it is Raganuga Bhakti or grace-based devotion. So these are basically topics which are discussed before we start the canto. So I'm sure you all have discussed these. And this canto also describes the incarnations and the exalted devotees. So what's the significance of this canto? Why do we study this canto, and what do we understand when we study this chapter? So the first thing what we understand is that it explains how devotion is shaped by one's nature and divine intervention. Yeah. So we study in Damodar Leela, there is 2 fingers too short. There is our endeavor, and then there is Lord's mercy as well. So one's nature and then divine intervention. So that's how devotion is shaped. And then the second most important part is that it demonstrates through every story that the ultimate liberation, which is the topic of Canto 9, liberation, moksha, is achieved through devotion, bhakti. So it demonstrates that principle like that. So this is how our Canto 9 is set up. So as I described, we have Surya Vamsha, which you say in the red shade here. And then we have Chandra Vamsha. So if you go in Surya Vamsha, there are again 3 parts. There is Saguna Bhakti, means bhakti in modes. And then there is Bhagavan Charitra, which is Lord Ram's pastimes. And then we have Jnani Bhakti, which is exalted, like very Uttama Bhakti, high level Bhakti. So now we are in Saguna Bhakti. in that as well, there are three categories. There is good, better, and best, if we could categorize it as in that way. So there are those in chapter 1, 2, and 3, you would have already studied. There are those who are doing bhakti through jnana and vairagya, through knowledge and renunciations, which was Siddhyumna, Prashadra, and Sharyati. So that's nice, that's good. Better than that is bhakti, which has been done since the beginning. So since beginning, these devotees are doing bhakti, like Nabhaga or Amrish Maharaj or Shashada. So these stories you have seen. And then in the third part, which we will start today, which is the 7th chapter, so this is the best type of bhakti, because this is not only done for yourself, but it is also done for upliftment of others. So in these next 3 chapters, which you see over next 3 weeks, including today, is where Harishchandra, in today's story, you will see that by his devotion, he liberated his entire family. And then next week you would see how Sagara, by his devotion, he liberated entire earth. And then in the week later you would see how Bhagirath liberated entire universe by invoking Ganga into the universe, like that. So that's how this is. So it's so beautiful how Bhagavatam is so systematic, so mathematical, and there's so much in these stories, like that. And then I'll just quickly skim through this. And then move on to our chapter. So in Bhagavan Charitra, we have Kriya, pastimes of Lord Ram. Then we have Bala, prowess of Lord Ram. And then we have Jnana, wisdom of Lord Ram. And then we have a wonderful story of Nimi and Janaka in chapter 13. So that's our Surya Vamsha. And then in Chandra Vamsha, so Raganuga Bhakti, how is that received? It is received in 2 ways. It is received by mercy of devotees, or it is received by mercy of Lord. So Bhakta Dwara is mercy of devotees, and Bhagavan Dwara is mercy of Lord himself. So in that there are again 3 categories. So low, medium, high, like that. So you will study about Pururava, Parshuram's actions, and Pandavas, Yadus, so been highest. So Uttama, they are highest. And then the last chapter, 24th chapter, where Sukadev Goswami has spoken about Shri Krishna, which is Bhagavan Dwara, Lord's mercy. So that's very, ending by sweet, eating sweet, like that. So this way your Canto 9 is set up. So we will now go in chapter 7, which is Harishchandra. Yeah. Okay. So what I have done is I have divided this chapter into 5 parts, and we will slowly go through these different parts and see what can we learn from this. Now, you would see, I don't know if you have read the chapter. This chapter has 26 verses, out of which Srila Prabhupada has given purport only for 3 verses. So I was like, oh gosh, how do I get my content out? So quite tricky. There's hardly anything. It's just translations. That's it. There's no purport at all. So we'll try and see what we can learn from this. So the first part is just genealogy of King Māndhātā. So let's go into that. So King Māndhātā has 3 sons, Kutsa, Amrisha, and Muchukunda. And then he had 50 daughters. You might have seen who got married to sage Saubari in previous chapters. So Purukutsa got married to Narmada, who is from the snake dynasty, Nag dynasty. Now she took him to the lower regions of the planet, and there he helped to fight a battle, or he helped them basically. So it is written by Srila Prabhupada in this, that the one who, if you are worried about, if you're scared of snakes, and if you study this history, this pastime of how Purukutsa helped the snake kingdom to from the enemies, then they would never attack. the snakes would never attack you. So that's nice to know. So you could read these pastimes, read these verses, hardly from 1 to 6, a couple of verses really. So, or you could also research more and find out more like that. And then his son was Trasadasyu, and his son was Anaranya, and then his son was Harsheshwa, Praruna, then Tribandana, and then Satyavrata. So this is interesting. Satyavrata's another name is Trishanku. Now, there is a historical fight between two sages, which has been mentioned in this chapter, which we will also see later on in one of the slides, where Srila Prabhupada has explained it quite detail. So, which is Vishwamitra and Vaishishta. So, Vaishishta, you would know, he is Guru of Lord Ram. Yeah, he is the Rajguru of Lord Ram of Raghu dynasty. So, Rishi Vaishishta is very powerful. Now, Vishwamitra was actually a king before, and seeing the power of Vaishishta, now he also wants to become a Brahmana. But Vaishishta is not ready to accept him. He's like, you can't just become a Brahmana just because you want to become a Brahmana. You have to display qualities of Brahmana. So there is a little bit of tug of war between them. So eventually, Vaishishta accepts him as Brahmana when he sees that Vishwamitra had developed a quality of forgiveness. So based on that, he accepted him as Brahmana. So what happened here was that Satyavrata, he I think kidnapped daughter of a Brahmana during a marriage. So he was cursed that you would become a Chandala, a Shudra. And later on, he went to Vaishishta, not Vaishishta, to Vishwamitra, asking that he wants to go to higher planets in this body, in the same Shudra body. He wanted to go to higher planets, of course, to enjoy, hopefully. But there is no other reason which has been mentioned in the verses. So he first went to Vaishishta and he declined, and then he went to Vishwamitra because he knows that these two do not have like very good relationships. So when I say that I went to Vaishishta and he couldn't do it, maybe you could do it, you could help me. And then that way he convinced him that he could send him to the higher planets. And then Vishwamitra, he did what is supposed to be done, and he sent him to the higher planets. So he was going up and up, but then the demigods, they saw that, come on, this cannot happen. Like anybody cannot just enter higher planets. So they were pushing him down. So you could imagine that Vishwamitra is pushing, like pushing him up, and they are trying to get him down. So in that struggle, Srila Prabhupada writes, he's still hanging there upside down in the space somewhere. So that's Satyavrata, that's Trishanku. That's the story of Satyavrata. And then his son is Harishchandra, and his son is Rohita. Then his King Māndhātā's another son is Amrisha, his son is Yavanashva, and his son is Harita. This Amrish Maharaj is different than the Amrish Maharaj we have studied before, in before chapters. That Amrish Maharaj is son of Nabhaga, if I'm not wrong. And then another son is Muchukunda. So Muchukunda, you would remember the story of Kalyavan and Muchukunda. Yeah, so he comes in 10th canto again. And then he also had 50 daughters who got married to Saubhari Muni, like that. Yeah, so this is verse 1 to 6. Then from 7 to 9, let's look at this. So from 7 to 9, here again the relationship between Vaishishta and Vishwamitra plays a role. All these verses, and this is a particular verse 977, where Srila Prabhupada has written a couple of paragraphs. So I thought I should put a slide together for it. So sorry, it went back. So Harishchandra. The king Harishchandra, he wants to do a performance, a yajna performance. So he invites Vishwamitra as the sage who would perform. So Vishwamitra performs the yajna, but what he does is he claims all the possessions of the yajna as a dakshina, which was not appropriate. So Vaishishta didn't like this, that this is not correct conduct, and then they started fighting, and in the fight, which went on for quite a while, the Vishwamitra cursed Vaishishta, may you become a bird, and then Vaishishta cursed with Vishwamitra, may you become a duck. And they kept fighting in the bird form for thousands of years, it is said. That's where the story pauses. So what is it for us in this? What is it for us to learn in this? So what we can learn is that Vishwamitra, he has become victim to anger. Yeah, there is. So why does anger come? Anger comes because the root for that is attachment. There's an ego, and from there the anger comes. So we understand that in this material world, however qualified one may be, like somebody like Vishwamitra, who is such a highly elevated sage, even they can suffer from these issues. So material world is of that nature. So sometimes in our life we find people and we're like, oh, why this person is like that, or why do they behave like that? We have to show sympathy and compassion, that they are just impacted, they are just suffering material world, because material world impacts people like that. So here Vishwamitra, because of his anger, he became angry at Harishchandra, and he claimed all his possessions. And then he also showed anger towards Vaishishta, who is an elevated sage. And then because of this, he later on also suffers a lot of downfall. So even we would think that, oh, we get angry, like in our usual life. But look at this, even such highly sage like Vishwamitra also gets victim to anger. Yeah, so it is a material world, which we all get impacted by. So in this verse, so that was 977. So from 977 to 9, in these verses, so that was the first yajna which happened, and Srila Prabhupada explains about the inimical relationship between these two sages. And then in the later verses, Harishchandra didn't have son. And as we understand, a king needs to have a son so that the dynasty can follow. So he requests Varuna for blessings. So Varuna gives him blessings on a condition that you would use that son to sacrifice, and then only then I agree. So Harishchandra agreed that yes, I would give my son as sacrifice, but I want son, like that. So we would think that if he wanted son, why did he then agree for sacrifice? Yeah, there are many finer understandings over here. First is the spot that, oh, he's childless, that would go away once he has a son. That is point one. And second point is that once he knows once he goes through that endeavor of having a son through various process, then he will know how to get another one, like that. So these are the two reasons which I found out when discussing with devotees. So Varuna here blesses Harishchandra, and Harishchandra gets a son, Rohita. Now Harishchandra, again, he doesn't have a son, so he got attached to his son. So if you see the first verse, our learning was anger, yeah, and the root of anger is lust, control. He wants to control, he wants things to be his way, like that. And when things don't happen their way, then they become angry. So in the second second part. So we are now on third part of our chapter. So here, so this is part is where Harishchandra is showing affection to his son, and he doesn't want to give his son as a sacrifice, though he promised this to Varuna. So when Varuna comes, that now you have a son, now you have to sacrifice. So he says that, okay, after 10 days have passed since an animal's birth, the animal becomes fit to be sacrificed. Then Varuna says, okay. Then he goes and then he comes back after 10 days. And then Harishchandra gives another excuse. When an animal grows teeth, then it becomes pure enough to be sacrificed. Fair enough. He goes again, then comes again. Then again, third time, Harishchandra is giving third excuse. When all its teeth have fallen out, then it will be fit for sacrifice. Then Varuna again goes back. Fourth time, Harishchandra says, when the animal's teeth grow in again, then he will be pure enough to be sacrificed. The fifth time, when the sacrificial animal becomes a Kshatriya and is able to shield himself to fight with the enemy, then he will be purified. So this way, we see that Harishchandra, who has actually taken a vow and promised Varuna that he will sacrifice his son, he will give away his son. He is, because of his attachment to the son, he is not able to. He's not able to follow through the vow. So in our lives as well, we take so many vows. We want to chant 16 rounds, or we want to, I think Prabhu was saying before we start, learn Mangalacharan, or so many things, but we keep on postponing because there's so many other milestones which come, and because that's more. We are more attached to those milestones than the spiritual milestones, than the vow which we take. So so that's something which we can learn from this. So Harishchandra's delay in fulfilling his vow shows that even a virtuous person can be paralyzed by material attachments. Yeah, this material attachments. And that's why when somebody takes initiation, there is a lot of process around it. They go in front of Guru Maharaj, they take the vows in presence of so many devotees, so that way their commitment becomes stronger, that they will be able to keep that vow and carry on chanting 16 round every single day for entire life, like that. So we need association, and with that association we are able to go on. So in our daily life, if we struggle, maybe we can take help from devotees. If you're struggling with reading, for example, you can, maybe 2 to 3 devotees can come together and read every single day. Now world is much more connected than before. We can have a small group where we can, a particular time you can agree and read every single day. So that way, by devotees association, it is the vow which is difficult in this material world. Things are difficult, and our attachment to material things is so strong because of our past impressions. But by association of devotees, vancha kalpatarubhyascha, we are able to overcome our shortcomings and transcend that attachment, and and follow the vow, like that. Yeah. So this is 3, and then the fourth part is small. In here, what Rohita does is, he, by this time he is grown up, he's Kshatriya, and he understands that my father wants to sacrifice me. So he runs away to the forest. When he runs away to the forest, Indra, Lord Indra, he starts giving him guidance. So he tells him where to go and where to hide. And every time he wanted, so once he came to know that his father has got a disease. And that disease was because his Harishchandra, of course, failed to satisfy the vow which he had given to Varuna. So he got a disease which is called dropsy in the verses. So dropsy is basically retention of water in the body, where one's belly becomes big because of water retention. So he was unwell because of that dropsy disease. And when Rohita learned that my father is unwell because of me, he really wanted to go back and be with his father, and let it happen, whatever is supposed to happen. But then Indra stopped him, and then so Indra directed him somewhere else. So every year, so after 1 year, for 6 years, Rohita kept on attempting to go back home because of his father's health. But Indra kept on coming in different forms, in different ways. Once he took a form of a old person or a brahmana, and he came and he said, "Oh no, you should not go." Things like that. So you keep traveling. So Rohita then kept on traveling, but he didn't went home. So we understand that why would Indra do this? Why would Indra have stop Rohita from attaining his father? Again, here we see the same lust coming through. We see that when we say, for example, we got somebody in Krishna consciousness and we are guiding them, and when they start growing, they come in contact with so many other devotees, and if they start taking guidance from somebody else, then there is envy that, oh, how come they are taking guidance from someone else? They should be taking guidance from me. I am the one who has got him in Krishna consciousness, isn't it? We are nobody to get anyone in Krishna consciousness. It is Krishna's will. He is the one who is allowing the devotee to come in touch with himself, like that. So in this pastime as well, Indra being Indra sort of protects Rohita, and every time Rohita is trying to come out of that shell, he is trying to take him back. So that is also a lust, that is also an attachment, where we in our devotee circles, the example which I gave, where we are, somebody is serving in, by our, in our circle, maybe, for example, if we are a big book distribution lead, they are serving in book distribution, but now they want to explore some other service. Maybe they want to go into Prashadam area or some other area, and you're like, oh, why are you going there? You should be serving here, like that. So because we feel that control, and we have that, that's the lust aspect which Indra is displaying here. Again, everything comes to lust. It also, we first saw Vishwamitra, then we saw Harishchandra's affection, moha. There is anger, there is moha, there is attachment, affection, and here there is lust, there is control, like that. So later on, I'm just conscious of time. Okay, so later on, in the last part, which is the fifth part, we see that Rohita finally wants to return home, which is the 6th year he is away from home. What he does is he actually purchases a person, a human being, Kshunashepa, from his father Ajigartha, and then he takes him for a sacrifice, that so he takes him to his father, that father, you can sacrifice him, and that way you will be relieved of your disease, and even I will be saved. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that during those days these things used to happen. However, we understand that this Kshunashepa was from a lower birth, and by going through this process, he would have a better life. But there's a beautiful Puranic story as well, which is not as part of this particular chapter, but it explains how Kshunashepa was actually not sacrificed because of his devotion. He was, he came out of that, and as well as Varuna was also happy with it. So there is a story which is not part of this, but that is something which also is very beautiful story to explore of how the devotion of Kshunashepa got him closer to Lord, like that. So Rohita returned to the kingdom. He took Shunashepa with him. Harishchandra's disease was gone because then he did a grand sacrifice where he invited all the sages, and then the sacrifice happened. Shunashepa also was saved because of Lord's grace, and because Harishchandra did this sacrifice with so much sincerity, and from his side, uh, all the demigods were happy. So Varuna was finally happy, and other demigods as well. And then Harishchandra, I think he was blessed. If we can read the last few verses, he was blessed to be liberated, like that. So this is sort of conclusion of this chapter. And if we go into the what do we learn from this chapter, because there are some things which unsettle us, isn't it, that how come that happened? But Bhagavatam there's so many layers to Bhagavatam, and if we just look at it and try to connect it with Bhagavad Gita, this is a message which is very clearly coming out across every story which we have seen. The fight between Vishwamitra and Vaishishta, the attachment of Harishchandra, the control of Indra, the selfishness of Ajigartha, who sold his son for money, then the devotion of Kshunashepa, which is the liberation part, which is the moksha part, that it is the devotion which is ultimate learning, ultimate message of Canto 9, and also Harishchandra's sincerity, that later on he being such a virtuous person, still was subjected to material attachment and affection to his son, but later on he transited that, and he did the sacrifice he had to do, like that. So this verse from third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is explaining about the karma part. So this particular chapter, and Arjun says that, but why is it that I want to do something, but I'm not able to do it? What is it which stops me? What is that? And then Krishna says, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha. So it is Kama, it is lust, it is control, it is Krodha, anger. Which how is it generated? It is generated by Rajoguna Samudbhava. It is generated by Rajoguna, because of which one gets bewildered. It's the English translation. It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with material mode of passion, and later is transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Yeah. So we saw sinful enemies in anger, in attachment, in control, and we all in our daily life face these issues. Attachment to maybe food. I don't know what all attachments people might have. I have attachment to food. So we want to give up, but we want to but there is still there is so much lust, there is because of which we still stay stuck. So yeah, association it is, which will help us to come out of this this enemies, like that. Yes. So I will take a pause there. I know it was quite something. uh, if there are any easy questions, Any corrections?
Okay. Thank you so much, Mataji. That was absolutely brilliant. Amazing. Thank you so much for that. If anyone has any questions, please do raise your hand. What I'll do is I'll start off if that's okay. So I've got a couple of questions that I just quickly wrote down. And I was just thinking that why do these chapters, some of these chapters, have a genealogy, but they don't mention things about all the characters? Okay, why give them more names and then just continuously give names and then mention a few? Surely they're mentioned because of a certain purpose, and it's not quite evident what the reason why all these names are in the Bhagavatam, and it happens in several chapters throughout the Bhagavatam. So, would you be able to give us some sort of enlightenment on that?
Yeah, so what I understood so I remember this question we were discussing before as well. So, so now we have to come to the storyline. So the big story, the actual story which is happening, which is Sukadev Goswami is telling Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, who has 7 days. So because of that time limit, he cannot describe every king. Um, and then also Bhagavatam is so infinite that uh, some kings are mentioned, but there are so many kings who are not even mentioned because it is like it is said that it is this Bhagavatam in this ecosystem is 18,000 verses, but somewhere it would be 100,000 verses or more than that because Bhagavatam expands like that. So this is what answer which I got from my Shiksha Guru. Hope it is okay.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. And before I go to Sadhvi Mataji, if I can just quickly ask the second one. So you mentioned about Vishwamitra being a duck. What happened for him to transform back to his own self? How did he would you know how he became in his own self after that? Or
No, I'll have to investigate, but the story isn't mentioned here. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
somewhere it should be there in some Puranic stories because there's a lot of connection between different other Puranas as well. So my source normally is Kamal Prabhu.
Uh, yeah,
my, my repository, that's where I go. So yeah, can be investigated. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, not mentioned in this particular section.
sure. No, I just thought, oh,
Out of
that's quite
curiosity.
interesting. And then how did that happen? So no, but thank you very much. And now we'll go to the technical questions. So over to Sadhu Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very, very much for today. Um, first, I have many questions, but I will ask one by one, and then we will see if there is time. Then I will ask again. One of my questions is Varuna, in my understanding, what I have read about him, Varuna was a sky, a god of sky, but then get lower position and got to be a god of water,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that Varuna is grandfather of Jaya Vijay. Have I read it right?
I haven't, sorry, Mataji, I haven't come across this particular part where he's grandfather of Jai Vijay.
He's father of Kali, which is father of Jai Vijay.
Mm-hmm. No, I haven't come across this particular, but what's the question exactly?
That what was the reason that Varuna, as a god of sky, get lower position and got to be god of water?
Ah, it's not it's not there in this chapter, but maybe I can find out and share with Dharmendra Prabhu later on. So I'll just note it down, Mataji.
Thank you.
So why Varuna would fall? Hmm, interesting.
Other thing, my next question is human sacrifice. Does that mean that they sacrificed human just to please?
Yeah. So it is not the sacrifice as we could imagine. Uh, they, they, so here, sacrifice, even in previous chapters as well, sacrifice is mentioned, animal sacrifice, for example. But that sacrifice happens for two reasons. First is the checking of mantras, whether the mantras which have been chanted, are they correctly chanted. So that is so a successful sacrifice is proof of that. And second reason is that normally in case of animal, it is the sacrifice is done for old animal, where the animal goes in the sacrifice, and when they come out, they come up with a new renewed body, like a fresh body, and then the next they also get a better birth, so that they can go onto the path of liberation. So such sacrifices, they are basically good for the one who is getting sacrificed. So it's not the killing aspect is not there. This is what I have understood, Mataji. Yeah. So
But
yeah, when it comes to human, then we get a little bit of, yeah, I understand. Yeah. But it's not as we think. It was there though, as the scriptures are saying. The human sacrifice was also there, but it is from an, because we are looking only at this example, only at this person. But if we look at the grand scale and the grand scheme, then this life, this soul, if it goes through this austerity, then there will be a better spiritual progress of that soul. If we look at it from that perspective, then it is a good solace to our heart. Otherwise, it is difficult to. Yeah, and I'm totally with you on this. Even I was disturbed when I read. So I'm like, is it really true? Like that?
it
Yeah.
seems, of what I understand, it seems that it's not only that, even you go and purchase, you buy as a slave. And even Prabhupada says
Mm. That at that time, yeah, it
yes, it
was
was
there.
like that, that
Mm.
they purchase people like a slave
Mm.
to give for sacrifice and so on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for me, it's kind of, what?
Yeah, it is a bit difficult to digest, but understand that because Bhagavatam is mentioning it, there are some lessons which we learn from this, and then move on like that. But yeah, it is true. I mean, it cannot be hidden under the carpet. That's what Srila Prabhupada very very clearly writes, that yes, there was a time when the slave trade used to happen like that. Yeah, yeah.
Something else I need to say that about cursing. It seems to happen a lot. They curse each other a lot. And that makes me wonder. It seems like even now, even in this material world, there are entities that was cursed there to fall down here and to suffer here because of the curses. It seems that their mentality, their temperament is so fiery that they just curse very strongly. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
yes, lust. It's lust. That's where it all boils to. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, I have noted the question on the Varuna. I'll reach out again. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji.